Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Perino, along with Judge Jeanine Pirro, Harold Ford Jr., Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. America's biggest city is being destroyed by Biden's border crisis. That's a stunning statement, not coming from Jesse Waters, but from liberal New York City Mayor Eric Adams. He says the streets of the Big Apple are completely overrun by illegal immigrants, with over 10,000 migrants arriving each month.
I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month. Every community in this city is going to be impacted. The city we knew, we're about to lose.
Eric Adams is frustrated with the zero support he's getting from the Biden administration, but looks like he wants to have it both ways by also pointing a finger at Texas.
Go item for item on what Eric Adams ran on as a candidate, and then look at what we've accomplished in 20 months. We turned this city around in 20 months. And then what happened? Started with a madman down in Texas, decided he wanted to bus people up to New York City.
In the first day of school here in New York City, and the classrooms are swamped with some 21,000 non-English speaking migrant children. And the Biden Department of Education says it's on the schools to find teachers that can communicate with all of them. The cover of the Post summing this up as a kick in the id, which if you're British, that sounds very good. Okay, so Adams wanted Jesse to not blame Biden directly. He wanted to sort of like the indirect blame, and sort of wants the Republicans to have to take the blame at the same time. But he's so unwilling to say that the root cause problem that Biden won't deal with is the reason.
He's almost there. The message is clear. Joe Biden's going to see that. And that was probably the most passionate I've ever seen a politician all year. Never seen that kind of emotion. That was like a call to arms, a cry for help, all at the same time. And it's clear when you drive into the city or you walk around, we're overwhelmed. You now have sidewalks you can't walk past because they are stuffed full of migrant families. It looks like a foreign capital in certain sections of this city. You don't recognize the city anymore. It's just not what you're used to. They're not New Yorkers. They're not even tourists. They're from third world countries, and they're not assimilating. A lot of them are not working. And there is a crime issue. We had a guy who was arrested like 7 times from Venezuela, assaulting people. He's a basket case. We do not have a grip on the situation. And it's going to cost the city a fortune because you're giving everybody free stuff. They get free education, they get free health care, and they get free syringes. They get free room and board. They get free food. Thank God it's culturally appropriate meals. But the guy's tried everything. He tried Randall's Island, and then he tried putting up at 5 stars in Midtown, and then he tried shipping them upstate to Buffalo, and nothing is working. And you'd think Schumer had a little more juice because he's the senior senator. He's the Senate Majority Leader. He can't get on the phone with the president and say, something's got to give here, Mr. President. This city is beyond repair because I agree. There's no stopping this.
No. And Greg, I'm wondering if this debate could end up making the situation work, because one of the things that the mayor here and the governor of Massachusetts had said is we need more money to spend on this, and we need faster work permits. And the root cause is that people think there is work here. So if there's a promise of a work permit, then they're not going to stop coming across the southern border.
Yes, we're incentivizing this. And I agree with Jesse. That's probably Mayor Adams. That's the most passionate I've seen a politician this year since I hooked up with Nancy Mace. But
Greg.
I'm kidding. Come on, it's the 5. So I realized why I was a liberal in high school. And I was a liberal in high school. I was a liberal for about a year or 2 in college, because liberal ideas are amazing and they're beautiful. They really are. You have to admit that their goals, their ideas of sanctuary cities, for example, sanctuary cities, is wonderfully altruistic. And they're easy to talk about, right? As long as you never do them. They were actually impossible. So that's why they are on bumper stickers, and that's why they are on T-shirts, and that's why when they're implemented, you have misery. And the reason why they don't work is because an idea is not possible without a system. And thanks to the tough love of the madmen of Texas, we married the system to the results, and what you saw was a collapse of an altruistic liberal idea. And we know this. If you're an adult and you have a family and kids, you understand that liberal goals without conservative systems are inherently destructive because they offer rewards without consequences. As you say, the incentives of jobs and welfare and free education. Life is very simple. There is no free lunch. In anything you do, everything has a cost, even the good things. Elite Democrats in the Upper West Side and Soho, they have the luxury of beliefs without the consequences, as it ruined the border states that they rarely visited, right? So they sponged off these people for decades, and now the madmen, which I believe the madmen are us, because they got the idea from us. We were the ones that were saying, marry the policies to the consequences. If we just do that, you will change the country. And right now, it's going rock bottom. But the only way to get back is rock bottom. It's going to change the country. We have to do the exact same thing, this busing thing with crime. There has to be some very brave people, very brave police commissioners and sheriffs who will get the people and drive them to where the DA lives. If you're going to release them after you book them, why not just get them in the van and you drop them off on the streets where the DAs live? Marry the consequences to the policies.
One of the things, Judge, is that we were talking about Mayor Adams being passionate, but I want you to get the call for ready because he was also passionate before. And it's fine, you can change your mind, but you should really be honest about that. Let's watch this here.
When you think about it, the days I spent with our essential employees, a substantial number of them were undocumented. They were delivering our Uber Eats. They were stocking our stores. They were out in the streets, keeping our city running. We have to expand NYC Care to make sure everyone has health care. We need to make sure we have proper translation services in our schools.
That was then, this is now.
You know what? It's actually humorous, and I mean it sarcastically. This is a guy who talked the talk and didn't walk the walk. This is a guy who today has to put his money where his mouth is. This is a guy who today is passionate. Why? Because New Yorkers are fed up in all the 5 boroughs. They are going crazy on Staten Island. They are going crazy. The people who are have businesses near hotels that have more than 50% illegals, the people who are now in places that were historic places that are being changed so that we can put illegals in. This guy was going to put illegals in schools so kids couldn't have gym classes. I mean, yeah, he's passionate. He doesn't want to lose his job. But I tell you, I am furious about the fact that he wants to blame Governor Abbott, as if Governor Abbott is not also an elected American official suffering from the same negative policies that have destroyed his state for 2 years. This guy gets a couple months of it. No, I can't take it. I can't take it. If you can't take it, then go after Joe Biden. If you can't take it, then you call Joe Biden a madman. You don't call Greg Abbott a madman. And I'll tell you something else. Everyone in New York City is paying a price to live here. We're losing businesses. There's a mass exodus because of what's happening to this city. And I resent the fact that he says, I turned this city around. No, you didn't. This city is devolving further and further. The crime is horrible. We just heard about a 60-year-old woman who was hit with her own cane 50 times. The police let the guy go. You know, Mayor, roll up your sleeves and start dealing with reality and stop talking.
Harold, I think you agree with this statement that a problem ignored becomes one that gets harder to solve down the road.
Every time.
And then you'll have people in Staten Island and elsewhere getting so mad, so it's making it more difficult. And I'm thinking that Joe Biden is determined to lose on this issue, and it's the very one that helped Donald Trump win the first time.
You're right. He came down the escalator and made those comments. I'd say a couple things. We oftentimes talk about identity politics, and we talked a little bit about it yesterday. I wish some of our politicians, Democrats, a lot of Republicans, some or most of, identify as a problem solver. we have a serious set of issues happening on our border. The idea that we allow, and I think what it boils down to, Judge, we allow asylum seekers to stay here while their application is being reviewed for whether or not they should be able to leave home. We probably need to stop that. There are going to be those that may be critical of those who may share my opinion and suggest that it might be racially motivated. Race can be a factor in how we think about a problem and how we solve it, but it shouldn't infringe upon us or impose upon us negatively as we think about solving the problem just because some person of color or some person who's not of color is affected by it. What Mayor Adams spoke to was a reality here in New York. We don't have the resources to deal with this challenge. And in fact, the resources that we are allocating towards the challenge could be allocated towards mental health issues, could be allocated toward helping alleviate the homelessness challenge in our community, and could actually be allocated to helping to deal with the public education or education challenges we have in our public schools. Instead, we're having to deal with this. And Judge, I don't think this is a Democrat-Republican issue. We look back over this; it's been both parties that are blamed. However, where you're right, the president has a responsibility. We don't have a coherent policy on our border. And if it was a Republican president, we Democrats would be saying, you get us a policy. Mm-hmm. And I think it behooves all of us as Americans, regardless of our political stripes, to say we need an answer to this. And I think Mayor Adams, Jesse, I think you're right. This is the first time I've seen him as passionate and as emotional as he was in this issue here. And he said words I never thought I'd hear from this mayor. This could destroy New York City. He was the most positive person running, one of the most positive running for mayor. And for him to say this, I think is a wake-up call, not only for Democrats and the president, but for New York and for all of us around the country about how and why we need to address this problem more seriously.
Dana?
Yes?
Do you know what time it is? It's time
5:11.
to destroy Harold Ford.
Go for it.
All right. Oh. Harold, I know that you believe in many laudable things. It's why I would vote for you for president. I think you say everything you say here makes total and complete sense. Doesn't it frustrate you or mystify you that all of these goals that you have are rarely met or destroyed because your party refuses to work with the other side? You mentioned all of these things like the homeless programs, which we were all for. Who was in charge of that? Where did that go? I'm asking you to diagnose what is going on in the Democratic Party that refuses to create a process or a system that would lead towards a goal. That's all I'm asking.
So you mean what you really mean is with the White House, because there are a number of Democrats, including the mayor here and some other Democrats on the border, who are saying we should deal with this differently. I think a lot of it, Greg, has to do with the investment and unfortunate attachment we have to identity politics. I think there may be some in my party who falsely believe that this issue somehow or another is going to advantage Democrats if they don't deal with it in the way that some are suggesting. Now, wait, you may want to deal with it more aggressively than me, but one thing we can agree on, we've got to deal with this. And again, identify as a problem solver and give us some answers to this is all I ask.
In your face.
In your face.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.